So, oops, let me just, there's people coming in. Apologize, still trying to get used to the lay of the land here. So good evening, welcome and thank you to everyone here this evening. I'd like to thank Cooperatives first for their sponsorship in making this happen, the BC Cooperative Association for their support and use of the Zoom account. To my presenter, Chris Diplock, will be here momentarily for his engagement and time spent with us. And to all the attendees, all of you out there tonight, for being here to learn about cooperatives with respect to our topic, tool shed libraries. And before going any further, I wish to express gratitude to the Secwepemc people whose territory, Secwepemc Ulu, I have lived, worked, and played on for most of my life. And as a point of interest for those not from Kamloops, or even some of you who are from Kamloops and haven't heard this before, our city's name is derived from Tk'emlúps, a Secwepemc word, which is the language of the Secwepemc people, which means the meeting of the waters or the confluence. A little bit of housekeeping too before we get started. It is easier when we all have our cameras off during the presentations. And I would ask you not only to do this, but also to mute yourselves. It looks like everybody has done this, so thank you very much. And I don't mind answering questions in the chat, and so feel free to put questions into the chat function or the chat box, and I will keep an eye on that as well. Sorry, here. We will upload both the presentation and the slides to the Kamloops Public Market website under the resources tab. And I think that gets us started for the evening. And this is the agenda that I will be following, or we will be following this evening together on this journey about cooperatives. I'd like to introduce myself and the Kamloops Public Market Cooperative. I'm going to talk about what is a co-op. Chris will be talking about the thingery. That I like to use that term. It's a cool name, and he will explain more about that. And then we'll have some time for takeaways and questions later on in the evening. All right. So who am I? I am Daphne Nelson, and I like to say I'm an idealistic community builder. I have past involvement in food groups in Kamloops, including the Kamloops Food Policy Council and Farm to Chef. I have volunteered for local businesses on the Community Futures Thompson Country Loan Committee while I was working as a lender with a large financial institution. I then went to work for a former client and met the chair of the Interior Savings Credit Union, who asked me to join the board. So I was nominated and elected with that organization. It did take a couple tries, but I'm all about perseverance. And so I kept trying until I was elected. I fell in love with the cooperative business model during the onboarding process with Interior Savings. I found it a brilliant mix of the business model, people working together toward a common goal and giving back to the community in a holistic manner. I was then asked to work on the Kamloops Public Market Cooperative due to my involvement with the credit union, being a cooperative, a financial cooperative. I took the, first I took the Cooperate Now course through the BC Co-op Association. And then I redeveloped and incorporated the Kamloops Public Market Cooperative. And then I took the Co-op Zone Advanced course on cooperative development to shed more light on the model. And this is me wanting to share that information with more folks out there. So now I'll introduce the concept of the Kamloops Public Market Cooperative, just so you know who we are and why we're here doing what we're doing. The Kamloops Public Market Cooperative was founded to create a common space where local producers and consumers could come together and share in the bounty of the region. With a physical location on hold, we decided to participate in the cooperative principle education about cooperatives. Pre-COVID, we hosted 3 in-person events on varying topics and decided we could easily pivot this offering to an online format to allow for more participants and obviously avoid any issues around social distancing. This is our sixth webinar to shed light on the potential applications of the cooperative model. And what is a cooperative? I love this definition and I will always come back to it because it's simple and it points to points to this, what a cooperative is the beautiful components of it. Cooperatives are democratically owned enterprises controlled by members who share a common need and see a cooperative as the best way to meet this need. So the key elements there are they are democratically owned enterprises. They're controlled and shared by the members. The members benefit from the service, and the members have come together around a common identified need. And of course, cooperatives wouldn't be what they are without their triple P bottom line, considering people, planet, and profits. Apologies. So, why cooperate? And I have been really considering this a lot over the past, well, since COVID hit, it's really been something I've been thinking about, and even pre-COVID, with the onset of COVID, it's become apparent that sole proprietors, small and medium business owners are the most at risk of failure due to an unsustainable climate of citizen support of extremely large businesses that can tend to strip capital and wealth from the small towns of Canada. And so what I'm asking myself, and I'm sure other people are potentially asking themselves, with small businesses in Canada creating more than half the jobs, how are we going to sustain ourselves in this new post-COVID economy? I like to use examples, and one that caught my eye recently was that in France, it's called C'est qui le patron? I'm sure I mangled that. The CQLP cooperative was formed after research determined that what it would take to shift the public's attention to local business owners and small farmers. It was found that 8 cents a liter more made the difference for milk producers to stay in business as they were trying to compete with large corporations and losing money on every liter. So it amounted to, I think, about €4 a year. And so consumers decided to join a cooperative that was put together. $1 a year, a euro was the share purchase that was needed there, and they because they wanted to save their local businesses, and they were empowered to make the decision. They knew about the cooperative, they knew what the cooperative meant to the small business owners in their region. And now this cooperative has launched 30 plus lines of sustainable businesses, and all of the specifications were determined by the consumers, the members of the co-op. So I thought that was a really cool example of how people can come together and really stand for small business in their area. So in BC, we have this very same opportunity. If people were given the opportunity to learn about how the cooperative model can save small businesses, create locally focused economies, and foster community all at the same time. So they are the original social enterprise. Cooperatives are formed when a group of people come together to solve a common problem, whether it's economic, those goods are too expensive for me to buy on my own, and I need a group of people to help me with that. Whether it is social, my sister needs better access to addiction support, or community, the farmers need to sell their products to local consumers who demand their products. So that is a little overview about how COVID can impact the businesses and communities that we're all involved with. And just briefly here, sorry, it looks like we have somebody else co-hosting with me here. Apologies, I'm sort of getting used to the goings on of things. So it looks like I have a co-host coming in. Let me just quickly reach out to them and see where we're at. Apologies here. Okay, so let's just keep going. Cooperating helps us share resources, share talent, create community, and really, why not? And what I mean by sharing resources, does everybody need their own car, their own boat, their own skill saw, or maybe we can share those resources together? Talents, maybe I can build a house and maybe you can market the house and we can pool our resources, our talent resources. And in that process, we're creating a community. And I just like to say, why not? Because I'm kind of cheeky that way. Now, last month and the previous months, I've shown this video, and I have searched high and low for something that does originate in Canada, but I have not found something short and succinct. So you'll find that this video is from the UK, but it does tell the story about what a cooperative is and why they're important. So I'll let you watch this video.
Ownership matters. It gives people a say in the things they care about. Being an owner in a business, for example, gives people motivation and a stake in its success. But over the last 30 years, the number of people who have control over the businesses that shape our lives has become smaller, not larger. It's no surprise that when you ask them, people say they have no influence in their workplace, over businesses, and over the economy as a whole.
So sorry, this evening there are all sorts of strange technical difficulties. Let me see if this.
Cooperatives, however, offer a business, for example, gives people motivation and a stake in its success. But over the last 30 years, the number of people who have control over the businesses that shape our lives has become smaller, not larger. It's no surprise that when you ask them, people say they have no influence in their work.
Okay, well, tonight, let us just skip the video because I guess we do not see it. Are we getting any of my slides? Have I been sharing those at all? Could somebody come on and just maybe let me know? Okay, so I haven't even been sharing my slides.
Yes.
We can see the slides.
Oh, you did see the slides, okay.
And we saw the video that you were doing too.
Okay, you did see the video, okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you for that. I'll keep going. I was getting some a couple texts saying it wasn't, so I'll keep going. Thank you very much.
Businesses and over the economy as a whole. Cooperatives, however, offer a solution. From the outside, they may look like any other business, but inside they are very different. They're owned and controlled together by the people closest to the business: employees, customers, residents, suppliers, not distant shareholders. They have an equal say in how the business is run, and they even decide what to do with the profits. And cooperatives work. There are nearly 7,000 independent co-ops in the UK. They're found in every sector, from high street retailers to farmer-controlled businesses, cooperative pubs and credit unions. Some of our most famous brands come from cooperatives, from champagne and parmesan to Lurpak butter and bird's eye peas. Even Barcelona Football Club is a co-op owned by its fans. Co-ops contribute £37 billion each year to the British economy and boost UK productivity, innovation and entrepreneurship. And they work for the 15 million members who together own the UK's co-ops. Cooperatives give people, in fact all of us, more control over the things that matter. What do you want to do together?
Thank you all for bearing with me this evening with the technical difficulties and things of that nature. So that was what a cooperative is, and a brilliant little video, and I just really love sharing it because it kind of summarizes everything that I've talked about so far. When we're talking about cooperatives, they were built, the modern cooperatives are built on these 7 cooperative principles: open voluntary membership, democratic member control, cooperation amongst cooperatives, which you can see here tonight with the Kamloops Public Market Cooperative, the BC Co-op Association, and Cooperatives First, autonomy and independence, member economic participation, so when members are purchasing their share, equity shares, concern for the community. So they are, I like to say, the original social enterprises, and education, training, and information. And again, that's what we're doing here together tonight. There are different types of cooperatives. We have gone over this in the past, but there are lots of folks on tonight who haven't heard about this. So I'm going to reintroduce these concepts. Consumer cooperative is a group of people who have come together to make purchases, meaning it could be food, it could be I guess I should stop using Mountain Equipment Co-op as an example, but they were, up until very recently, an example of a group of people who wanted to come together and buy technical climbing equipment. Producer cooperatives come together on the basis of branding, it could be marketing and other common advertising type things, could be transportation, but a number of producers, say vegetable farmers who want to get their product to market. Financial cooperatives are credit unions. Worker cooperatives are where the owners of the business are also the workers of the business, and they're the ones benefiting all together with their shared resources. There's community service cooperatives in Nelson. This is an example of one in Nelson where they have a radio station that provides the community service of its programming. So that's a really great example of a community service cooperative. Investment cooperatives allow folks to invest in their communities for a return on their investment. It's patient capital though, so don't think you're getting rich quick anytime soon. Multi-stakeholder cooperatives bring different types of cooperatives together. An example here is Kettle Valley Food Co-op, and they have their producers and consumers together, working together to bring to market and bring from market, I guess, you know, one way to the other, the goods of the region. And here in Kamloops, we have a few housing cooperatives, and I'm sure people around the province have heard of others, but I use the example of the Rare Birds Housing Cooperative here. They are a group of people who decided they would like to live together in community, and that's how they've made theirs work. There are also nonprofit cooperatives that's more of a, I'd say, example of how people are housing in housing cooperatives in Vancouver or a bit larger cities. Now, if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to take them. And having said that, I will also take this opportunity to welcome Chris to the evening. Chris Diplock here, if you want to come on the screen and say hello and make your introduction. There we are. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
In order for me to, if you have a slideshow, I need to make you the host. So are you okay if I do that right now? I can make you the co-host. All right, there you are. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Cool. You kind of did two things at once there. I just want to make sure you're going to take some time for questions for yourself. Is that right?
Well, nobody has asked any yet. Oh, here's something in the chat. Yes. Okay.
I think that was for when you were like, can you see my screen?
Okay. I thought so, but I thought I'd also stall a little bit if you needed a little bit of time.
No, I'm good. I'm good for
Okay.
time. Let me, hello, everybody. Let me just hop in. I'm going to share my screen.
All right. Thank you. And I will end my video, but I did mention that if anyone had questions, I'd pay attention on the chat. And maybe if you don't mind, Chris, I could pop on if there's a question or two, or would you rather wait till the end? I'm not sure what you prefer.
Yeah, people can pipe in. That's fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
I will still be here. I'm just my video will be off.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, there we go.
Awesome.
Fix the bandwidth a bit. Okay, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. I have just a brief presentation for you tonight. I'm going to go over some of the background and history of the thingery and kind of explain the cooperative angle, but also just some general kind of milestones that we've hit over the past 2 years that we've been operating. So the thingery, let's just get, there we go. So this quote here, we're talking about what is the relation between the circular economy, or kind of the share, reuse, and repair economy, as it can also be called, and the kind of our fight for climate change, or fight against climate change, I should say. You know, we're looking at a 1.5 degree world can only be a circular world, you know, talking about getting that GHG concentration down means we need to change how we consume everything. And the circular economy provides a real solution to that. So that was a big inspiring piece for me about 10 years ago when I founded the Vancouver Tool Library. And that was a community service co-op, which is a designated nonprofit co-op. And we, yeah, it's still around. There's, I think, over 2,500 members. It's one of the first tool libraries in Canada. And since then, there's been a real movement in tool libraries across the country, and they continue to grow globally as well. So 2016, looking at the success of the tool library and seeing that it wasn't scaling, I thought about how we can create a model that's scalable and can just be right in the heart of a community. You know, it isn't kind of necessarily zoned for being in a commercial area, but right in the community, so it's walkable and convenient. And so started to look at you know, how, you know, shipping containers are very familiar with a lot of municipalities, and so, you know, looking at that as a model, and looking at expanding not just tools like the tool library carried in its inventory, but also equipment. So how it works is someone signs up online and they're given an account. We keep their card on file. They're given a unique access code that gives them access to the site, and then they can go in, they make a booking, they go in and they can check things in and out, and then they're billed monthly. And then we do our regular inventory and maintenance check bi-weekly now. Oh, actually, sorry, twice a week now. So our pricing structure, we have this $10 to join. That's our cooperative structure. There's a community service co-op, which is the owner of the containers. And so, and then there's some monthly fees, and then we do a per day item fee as well. So there's this 3 kind of fee structure, which we arrived at through looking at kind of past examples of how tool libraries like the Vancouver Tool Library price their members. So the current sites, we have 3 sites. We have one in East Van, one in Kits, and one in Lower Lonsdale. Since COVID, we've temporarily shut down the Lower Lonsdale site as it's a smaller container, but these are 20 by 8 containers that we retrofit with shelving and a security system and a little iPad for the check-in, check-out of the items. So usage, we've, you know, registered about 155 new members. That's actually 300 now. yeah, kind of between 10 to 30 users per month in 2019, and about 30 to 90 pieces of equipment being used every month as well. Really low theft rates, no break-ins to date. The sign-up checkout process, people are in and out in about 4 minutes. And yeah, we've seen a kind of continual usage since the launch of both the Grandview and the Kits site. So we received already 40 online submissions to add items, which kind of equated to about 72 online submissions to donate equipment, with 55 to 65% now of all equipment in the Thingery being donated. And this amounts to more than 100 pieces of equipment in the Vancouver locations. And the equipment that we kind of curate ranges from power tools to sporting equipment, camping equipment, kitchen appliances like pressure canners, food dehydrators, to event and entertainment equipment like tables, chairs, and projectors. So just a little testimonial. We've had a really good response from the communities we've been in, with a lot of people understanding the importance of a community hub and its kind of its ability to give neighbors access to equipment that they don't need to own. So our impact so far, you know, we kind of focus on 4 levels of impact: our social connectivity, lowering our ecological footprint, financial savings, and emergency preparedness. We've done some social connectivity to date. So we did 8 workshops, a few of them on repair and some introductory to tools, as well as outdoor equipment introductory courses. So this is someone who came to our tool workshop, really empowering as well, helping people get access to equipment. Doesn't just mean the physical equipment, but also the educational component is a huge part of that. So lowering the barriers to learning how to use equipment. We talk a lot about lowering ecological footprint, which means our participants buying less things. Are they donating equipment that otherwise would have been thrown out? So we're seeing a lot of our members reporting to have the Thingery change their purchasing habits, which is pretty awesome. Financial savings too, as participants are saving money versus owning or paying expensive rentals. And emergency preparedness is how can this community hub access as a resource in the event of an emergency. We ran a nice pilot project at our Kitsilano site where we kind of built out, they're a local workers co-op. They built a demonstration site for a little neighborhood information center. And that's it for the work that we've been doing. I didn't get too much into how we're a co-op, but the Vancouver Tool Library, we kind of based a lot of our membership planning off of them. They have a $20 equity membership to join, and we lowered ours to 10 because accessibility and affordability seem to be a thing for a lot of the members. For us, it's, you know, the way that we involve our members is through participation in how the equipment is curated. We formed local volunteer committees to do a little bit of programming and site kind of activation and cleaning around each of the sites. I'll go back and show you a site. Yeah, and I'll just stop there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is very inspiring, and I love that you have 3 locations in Van. That's great. I'm not sure, Chris, if your speaker, who the user of the cooperative has joined us here. And if they were willing to give a bit of a testimony as well, or maybe we just go straight on to taking questions at this point.
Kathleen, who's a member, will be showing up. She did tell me she would hop on at 3:30. So she'll be on shortly, I think.
Okay, great. I was curious about how you've been doing, like using, or not, what you've been doing for COVID. You know, is it just every time somebody brings in a piece of equipment, they're cleaning it and themselves, or is there somebody on site? Kimberly actually also asked, are they staffed by volunteers, and are the sites profitable?
They're not staffed by volunteers, actually. It's a self-service, it's just like a self-checkout system. So we have an access control system that includes sensors and door locks and cameras. So only members with paid accounts can get in. And then we record all the transactions through video, and people check the items out like a checkout till at a grocery store.
Okay.
But we do 2 check-in shifts a week. How that's changed over COVID is that we've stepped up the frequency of visits. We've implemented a mandatory booking policy, so people have to book in order to visit. And then we have given the items a 3-day probation period, so they kind of sit on a shelf and decontaminate for 3 days, which is similar to public library procedures.
Okay, thank you. Kim, did you have a question? Or is that your picture? Sorry, I thought you came on the camera. Apologies.
In terms of the profitability
Fine,
of the
thanks.
site, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm fine, thanks. I don't know why my picture popped up there.
No worries.
In terms of profitability, it's a good question. We are able to keep the cost pretty low. And so in the summer months, in our second year, we've been able to hit profitability in the high season. In the low season, I don't think we've quite figured out the target market for some of the winter activities. People are certainly less active in the outdoors in general. Kind of the winter camper is few and far between, but the summer camper is everywhere. So you know, we do change our inventory seasonally a little bit. You know, we add the snowshoes and the little icebreaker tracks you put on your shoes and stuff like that. But it's just in the rainy season, people aren't doing as much construction. They're not doing as much outdoor activities. So it is our low season. And we choose to be open and kind of run a pretty lean model in the winter. But yeah.
Nicholas, did you want to add anything? I saw you came on the screen there.
I have a bit of a laundry list of things I'd like to ask Chris. I'm the co-founder and president of our local makerspace, and a tool library is something that has been on my mind and we've talked about for a very long time. So I have a couple different questions. With how do you think these models would work kind of integrated to an existing organization co-op like a makerspace? And what is your general kind of startup cost, and what are the things that you find are your first ones, your kind of cornerstones when you develop it?
Yeah, I mean, the prospect of a makerspace launching this always makes me happy. I think it's very natural, given makerspaces usually have some kind of abundance of space, certainly more than we do, particular for a smaller community. I mean, I think that in Vancouver, you know, we think about, well, how do we go into the West End and put one in there and kind of connect with the 50,000 people that live in that downtown core. And that's like one site for us, right? And because that we're a community-owned co-op, we get to, you know, we frame our site as a piece of public community infrastructure. And so we're able to take up a little bit of that space. But I think a lot of times, like I was saying before, is that maker spaces and tool libraries are kind of forced into these light industrial zones. And they're not able to tap into that. So it's certainly a model that I always usually, like I'm happy to give advice on how maker spaces and existing tool libraries can turn into a little bit of a self-service lending library. It doesn't take a whole lot. We haven't seen like the rates of theft that people kind of, everyone goes, oh, well, people will just walk away. You're like, no, they won't. they don't. Yeah, so I think to answer your first question, there's lots of opportunity for collaboration. I think you would want to separate the lending library kind of operations from the makerspace operations. You know, I'm sure that your makerspace has a lot of high tech, heavy, expensive machinery, and you know, if you want to cater to your own members in terms of what they can take home, or if you want to cater to kind of a lot of people that love the fingering in the tool library, or people that never knew how to use a drill, and now there's this great approachable, accessible neighborhood hub that they get to go do it at. So that's something that they like. Yeah, sorry, what was your second question or other questions?
Well, I could go all night. My other main question was, what was kind of your cornerstone? Like, what did you start with as far as a lending library? Because I know what I'd start with a makerspace, of course, as far as tooling goes. But is there kind of cornerstone things that that you start with one of these?
Yeah, good question. We have a set inventory list I'd be happy to share with you that we've kind of thought pretty long and hard about in terms of an equipment lending library. We do focus on the 4 main categories, which is kind of power tools and hand tools, recreation equipment, mostly around camping, events and entertainment, which is kind of like tables, chairs, like a projector screen, a basic PA system, and then like just general appliances. Like people love the food dehydrator and the sewing machines. So, you know, high ticket, durable, quality items. We're not, yeah, we're trying to avoid, well, it's, you know, it's hard to get someone to rationalize paying for a membership fee for some basic hand tools, but those hand tools do, like if you have that specialized drill or the specialized saw, and then you have the rest of it, people like the all-in-one place aspect, but that might not be the draw into it. So we have a basic list of around 100 pieces of equipment. There's a lending library of things in London, and they have a really tight list. Like they don't even allow people to donate things outside that list. Like they're super strict about it, because I think they don't want to expand the ability to service and repair a lot of the equipment. As you can imagine, sometimes people come to you and they go, I have this thing, do you want it? And you're like, wow, that's a great quality thing, but I don't have the capacity to repair that. And, you know, or something like that. So, or it's like huge. Like, what did someone try to donate the other day? It was a massage table, which is really expensive. It was like a professional massage table. They said, do you want this? I said, wow, what an offer. No, no, we don't. Because yeah, it's not for our membership. So yeah.
One of the things, sorry to interject here, guys, I've noticed, or I'm not sure if it's Makerspace so much as Transition Camus, we've had repair cafes, and where people come and learn how to repair things. So, you know, I'm wondering if there's been, I had repairs on my list of things to ask about, and while at the one breath, I imagine you want to make sure the repairs are professional and done in a good quality way for to make sure that the tools are ready for the next person coming along. But it'd be interesting to know if you've had any experience with a repair cafe or anything of that sort in alignment with some of your other workshops that you've put on.
Repair Cafe and Kamloops is a partnership between Transition Kamloops and Kamloops Makerspace.
Oh, okay.
They're one of the organizers.
Right. Whereas Chris, I'm wondering, have you ever had one of those to help your thingery out?
Yeah, for sure. We have had, I think, 5 of them. We did 2 clothing repair, 2 electronic repair, and 1 bike repair. And they've been, yeah, people love them. People love them. It's kind of tough during COVID, but people do love them.
Right. Thank you. Did you want to ask another question, Nick?
Oh, no, well, I don't want to, I didn't want to take over at all.
Go ahead.
No, one of the reasons that the tool library and the thingery concept really does speak to me is because we do things like workshops and repair cafe, and one of them is, well, I don't want to go buy all these tools. I don't, necessarily, a lot of the time we fix things and they want to give it to us because they just didn't want to throw it out. And it's, used outdoor equipment or something like that still has a lot of life in it. But a lot of people, it's like the makerspace is about their only option if they want to exercise these skills as far as access to a drill and basic tools and stuff like that. So that's where I would love to do something like this kind of outside makerspace. And of course, we'd love to support it. That's kind of how we were with Repair Cafe. Somebody else wanted to do this. We had the resources here. We'll support it and partner. So if anybody on here wants to open a tool library, I'd gladly not do it.
Well, I've heard that about the makerspace, that you're a super busy guy, and I too would be happy to help facilitate that process. So I'm sure if we put our heads together and get some folks together, I guess I'd be curious in that vein, Chris, like, what was your recruitment like for co-op members? Like, how did you promote, and what were your thoughts around that?
Yeah, good question. We had a general membership drive leading up to the purchase of the containers, which was great. And then we kind of just do general promotions ongoing to get members and users into the site. I think that mostly what dictates like a passionate membership, and that more active and passionate your membership is, the more they're going to use the equipment, help fix it and care for it, is that educational piece. I think when people, small acts of repair are like super inspiring. I don't know if you remember the last time, like, I'm sure Nick fixes stuff all the time, but like the last time you repaired something, there's this immense feeling of satisfaction and empowerment. And those small steps or small acts of repair, I think, really encourage people to continue to participate, to come back more and keep participating in kind of the maker lending library movement. So yeah, I mean, the sector of, that's one of the things we're trying to address is the Thingery handles a lot of this. We're trying to centralize this where each individual community that signs up for a Thingery just becomes a committee of the co-op, and they appoint a director to our board, but they don't have to do the operations. They do a lot of the educational programming and workshops, and they have a direct say in the kind of inventory we hold, but they're not like opening up the shop, you know? They're not sweeping the floor. They're not doing the annual filings to the registry so that you don't cease to exist. I think we're trying to take away the stress and just introduce a model where a community can put up its hand and say, I want one of these, and not have to go through that incorporation process every time. Because I've incorporated 4 co-ops, and I've been on the board of probably about 3 of them. Like a worker, a nonprofit co-op. And yeah, I understand burnout is a real thing when it comes to kind of social enterprise work. So I think we're trying to solve that. And to be honest, like members, like they want to join and be a part of they want to be active in their community. They don't want to join and like write minutes and read minute meetings or meeting minutes. Like, yeah. So I think that ensuring that, you know, a volunteer's participation is meaningful and linked to building some kind of habit of repair or habit of equipment usage is super important.
That's really awesome. And I love when you said small acts of repair. That is such a beautiful term, because I can totally relate to it. And as you have more and more of those as an adult, or even as a child, actually, I've seen my kid do stuff and he's just like, wow, this is awesome. And I just saw your question there, Nick, on whether you shared inventory between Thingeries, and Chris said, yes, you do. So that's really interesting. So I'd be curious about that. So I'm looking for support or volunteers or anyone interested in this sort of thing. I'd say definitely reach out and make sure. Oh, you're totally stealing small acts of repair. That's awesome. And I guess before we get too far down the road too, I think, Chris, you had mentioned Kathleen was here to share a few of her or an experience about the Thingery or a Thingery in her area.
Yeah, let me just, Kathleen, you there?
Yeah, hi, I am here.
Sweet. Well, thanks for joining. I know you got to run in about 10 minutes. So thanks for joining. Kathleen has been a key volunteer since we started in 2018. She's on the volunteer committee for our site in East Van. And she's been a real go-to volunteer sometimes when something at the site isn't working or we need help fixing something. She helped me redesign this summer's planter boxes and what plants were going to go in there, and so it's been great to have her. I want to, that's just introduce Kathleen, and I don't know if the group has some questions or how you wanted to approach this to fun.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, and I'm also happy to give a bit of a preamble about my experience, if that would be helpful to the group, just sort of to contextualize it from the point of view of sort of a user of the Thingery.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me join you this evening. It just seems like a really exciting opportunity what you're considering there. So I actually initially heard about the Thingery. I was actually in the process of considering like whether or not to buy a new power drill. I was having issues with the power supply on mine, and it was ultimately unrepairable. But in the process, I found out that the Thingery was set to open. So I was actually one of the fairly early members. And so I found that it's very helpful. I live in Vancouver, so I'm in 500 square feet. And I just don't have space to house the tools that I might need for some like general household repairs. I also had things that I didn't necessarily need. So for example, a small active repair that I had done previous to joining the Thingery, I had lost a beloved earring down the bathroom sink and had bought a pipe wrench to retrieve it. So the pipe wrench is now with the Thingery. So like I found I've generally used it for tools. And the volunteer experience overall for me has largely been just about building some community, being able to contribute in a way that that's meaningful to something that I believe in, which is sort of sharing resources amongst community members, also building confidence amongst community members and doing those small acts of repair. I think, Chris, that was a brilliant statement that you've coined there, and I think everyone is going to be eager to reutilize that one. And so I found like I have done some fixing just as part of my volunteer experience. So I sew, I've fixed a window on a tent that had fallen out. And I've also done some just general helping around the site. But all in all, I would say like it's a really positive resource for me as a member of this community. And then I've just really enjoyed being part of the volunteer group as well, supporting it. So I'd welcome any and all questions.
Hi, thanks, Kathleen. I love the endorsement, and when you're talking about the things you've fixed, from sewing to your plumbing, like it's just the epitome of how we can and might want to try being able to empower ourselves in that way. So thank you for sharing that. I'm not sure if anybody has questions. Please feel free to come online or put them in the chat. Hi, Melody.
Hi, I have a question. I was trying to, I might have missed this earlier, but I'm curious how membership has input on the types of tools and that the Thingery distributes. So like the massage table was something that you said the membership wasn't interested in. I'm just curious how that, how you gather that information.
Sorry, I'm muted here. Great question. It's not on a one individual kind of donation basis. I think that we look at the general, we do an annual survey of our membership, and then we, there's a link on our page to request items that aren't there. And so we kind of, as a, as a manager or the kind of the head of the operations, you have to make that decision. It's not directly driven by members, but members can, if 10 members said, hey, we want a massage table, I'd say, well, of course, yeah, okay. Sounds like you guys really want this massage table. And that can lead to the chicken or the egg, which is, well, they didn't even know that was an option. So how do you include that? And I think that's just the balance I'm trying to reach, which is, what do we have room for? Sometimes people also just love the idea, like, oh, I would use that once a year. And for us, it's, well, we don't have room for that thing you want to use once a year. If you want to use something once a year, that's not what we're trying to do. And that's not a model that we can actually attach ourselves. That's not a financially sustainable business model. We need to have equipment that enough people are using on a frequent basis in order to sustain, just being around. So there's the request for inventory we don't have. And then usually we do a biannual donation drive. So we did one last spring, I think, and kind of just said, okay, what do you want on the list? Here's our list, take a look. Here's what we're trying to donate. I think we got 42 items donated. So when we do those big donation drive pushes, we take a little bit more time to get feedback on what equipment we want. Yeah, so good question. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's good too, because it sort of solidifies the comment you made earlier about needing an inventory list and sort of sticking to it, but also canvassing to determine maybe if there's more what the members want or something. Maybe there's some capacity for a survey and doing a revamp of that list down the road too, depending on what you decide. The other thing, when you're talking about biannual donation drives, and it just reminded me, or it's, you know, about the volunteerism from Kathleen's perspective. I'd be curious to know how many active volunteers you have that sort of keep this thing running as well. So, you know, if one container needs X amount of volunteers to kind of rotate through, just that would be a curious question as well.
Yeah, we do. Well, we have a maintenance staff, so they're paid. So we have one person who's going around the sites, checking in, sweeping, cleaning, you know, refilling the disinfectant, moving things that are on the disinfecting shelf back into inventory, checking in on the quality, you know, is this tent wet? Every once in a while, someone returns a tent that's wet, and it just drives me insane. I don't know what kind of human being would do that, but so just stuff like that. When it comes to the volunteers, it's more about kind of going above and beyond that basic level of operations. It's how do we make the bookshelf fantastic? I don't know, Kathleen, I don't know if you know this, but there's these 2 volunteers in Kits that just installed a similar book lending library that we have in Grandview. And so, you know, every once in a while we get approached by different people in different communities and they say, I want to do this. How about this? What can I do? Right. And it's mostly around kind of activating the site. I think with COVID, we're kind of challenged to bring people in around education and peer-to-peer learning, but we're trying to solve that now. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. Well, I imagine that, you know, you do have an active group of folks who like to help out, and I really appreciated Kathleen popping on. I'm not sure how much longer we have her for, so if anybody does have any questions for her, we should hop to it. I know that this session was slated to go till 8 o'clock, but I do see that we've sort of wound down our questions. If anybody does have anything they want to add or ask, anything at all. Because if not, then I will thank our speakers and our participants.
Yeah, it's been great. Thanks so much for having. I think, you know, when you were talking about the kind of co-ops that each community has, the model for equipment lending libraries, it's no mistake that it is very commonly a co-op. There's a lot of co-ops in this space, and it's using the co-op model, particularly its ability to kind of be financially sustainable, but not overly greedy, because people want an affordable way to access equipment. It does, you know, it's the same quality of life without the need for ownership. So it's a really catchy model, particularly for co-ops. So yeah, thanks for featuring us. Thanks for joining, Kathleen.
Yes, thank you to everyone. And just want to again say thanks to the BC Co-op Association for letting us use their Zoom account, and to Cooperatives First, who has sponsored these for us. And again, to Chris and to Kathleen for their time tonight and all the speakers. Nicholas has said, I will add 1 to small acts of repair and share our goals, Makerspace and Repair Cafe. That is to instill creative confidence. Oh, that's good. I like it. So yes, wonderful evening, everyone. And I will probably fix this recording up. We had a little technical difficulties at the beginning of the evening, and then it'll be available on the website, the Kamloops Public Market Cooperative website, for everyone's use at a later date. So again, thank you to everyone and have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Thanks.